In the criminal case, now the prosecutors are like, oh, really? Well, how about we add some additional fraud charges onto you? And they're talking about threatening him with insurance fraud, which I would say you could get about 20 years in prison. So that's a death sentence for him. My husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance.
Sunny Hostin's husband has been accused of insurance fraud. Let's just take a moment to enjoy how hilarious this is. There's so many layers of irony. It's just, maybe, skip your iron tablet today, because it's such a lame joke. But yeah, it's just ironic. Sunny and the women of The View often like to take judgmental stances against people, particularly Trump, and they love to kind of sit on their high horses and look down and point their finger. But today is a day where Sunny cannot do that. So it's going to be very interesting to see what she has to say about it, if anything. The ironic thing as well is that Sunny gets legal noted quite often in her show because she so frequently will take allegations that have been made against people or claims that have been made against people and say them like they are fact. And then she has to read out legal notes by the producers because the show gets sued for this kind of stuff.
RFK Jr. doesn't have a medical degree. He knows not much about medicine, and he is a vaccine skeptic.
Yes.
Oh, I have a legal note. RFK Jr. denies that he is anti-vax.
What? That's his whole thing.
A very quick statement.
Yes, it's not going to be that quick.
Pete Hegseth has denied any wrongdoing. His lawyer said he paid the woman in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit. No charges were ever brought. I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism.
The other layer of irony is that she is a lawyer, and you'd think maybe she would understand the law better to avoid that. And you'd hope that her husband would understand the law too, considering he's married to a lawyer. But that brings us to now. The husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin has been accused of insurance fraud in a sweeping federal lawsuit filed last month. Orthopedic surgeon Dr. Emmanuel Hostin and his practice, Hostin Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, were named among more than 180 defendants in a major RICO case filed in New York on December 17th. According to the Daily Mail, Hostin and the other defendants were allegedly receiving kickbacks for performing surgeries and fraudulently billing the insurance company that provides for Uber, Lyft, and other taxi companies. Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgeries, the lawsuit claims, adding that the American Transit Insurance Company, which filed the lawsuit, was billed in exchange for kickbacks and or other compensation, which were disguised as dividends or other cash distributions. The interesting thing is that a few weeks ago, coincidentally, suspiciously, Sunny happened to mention her husband on The View and his dealings with insurance companies. Bit of a coincidence. Let's see what she had to say then.
Wait, hold on. Let Sunny get in here.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. We know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do. So there are a lot of problems with it.
The way that I interpret this is that she was trying to get her defense out early. I think that they have their story, their defense on what they were doing, and she decided to put it out there at a time that seemed like a good opportunity during all of the chaos with the healthcare CEO. But people at the time were already questioning what exactly she meant by this, because it didn't actually make sense what she was saying. Someone in the top comment says, her husband does surgeries on uninsured patients, then has to sue insurance to collect payment. I call BS. She said uninsured patients. Also, bill goes to patient if insurance doesn't cover. And someone said, you caught that too, I see. And then there's a more recent comment in the last 11 hours. This aged well. So yeah, people were already noticing that this didn't really make sense. Like, how do you take on an uninsured patient, do a surgery on them, and then try to get money out of an insurance company? Like, that's surely not how it works. I don't know if I'm missing something there. But yeah, it doesn't really sound like it makes sense. But it does sound like they're trying to set the kind of framework for he's a good Samaritan defense, right? One thing with this defense is that he would have been profiting off of this if this is how it was going. Like, if he was doing surgeries on people who are not insured, and then he was filing for the insurance claim through a different name under one of these companies, then he would have been getting reimbursed, he would have been getting paid. And so he did financially benefit off of this situation. So even if he did have good intentions, there's no question that he would have also been profiting too. And that makes it a little bit more complicated. And then I tried to look into, like, historically, have they ever, either of them, used their position of fame and wealth to try to impact change? Have they been big advocates for change in this system historically? And was he pushing for changes to the healthcare system at the same time that he was maybe doing a workaround on it? And I could not find any evidence of them speaking out about this at all, of them trying to assert change. If any of you guys find anything, please do let me know. But I could not find anything about this except for the fact that a few weeks ago, Sunny brought it up on The View and mentioned her husband explicitly. So that to me is like, okay, so far we're not getting like a big picture of, you know, fighting for the little guy, spending his time trying to fight for the little guy. But this is obviously a commonplace practice because there are almost 200 people in this lawsuit. So, but they end their defense by saying it is meant to intimidate and harass doctors from collecting for care given to American Transit insureds and their passengers. The real story here is about an insurance carrier abusing the legal system to limit and restrict healthcare benefits to its insureds and their passengers and write off its proper obligations. What I will say is that as funny as this story is and as satisfying as it is to see somebody who has been so arrogant and so kind of on their high horse fall from that high horse and have to kind of face a lot of the stuff that they've been very judgmental of other people over, that's fun, that's great. But underneath this, yes, there is the bigger story, which is that there is an issue with healthcare. There are problems with the healthcare system, and it is something that I really, really hope in the coming years will be addressed and looked at. In Europe, people don't really think twice about insurance. It's something that is just kind of seen as a human right and nobody really thinks about it. In America, there are people who are not getting proper healthcare, who are avoiding getting treatment, who are avoiding getting seen to, getting checked, etc., because of the flawed healthcare system. And that is awful. That is a tragedy that I really, really do hope is addressed. And underneath this is the reality of that. I'm coming at this from my perspective. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on this. As I always say, it's important that we talk. It's important that we all share our thoughts, our opinions, and find an answer somewhere in there, find the truth somewhere in there. So please do let me know what you think. In the meantime, let's see what Sunny has to say about this, if anything. Let's see if she keeps silent. Let's see if she's very judgmental or is she somehow very understanding of this situation. I personally think she set up the defense a few weeks ago on The View, and I think she's probably going to stick with that story, but it'll be interesting to see what comes in the next few days or weeks as this story unfolds. And yeah, I'll see you next time.